So before we talk about masking, alphas, and all that sort of thing, I want to just start by talking about channels. So there are many different ways to create and manipulate channels in After Effects, but and we're gonna, like I said, look at the alpha channel in particular. But it's good to just kind of take a step back and figure out what channels are in the first place. And the definition I could come up with are channels are grids of pixels that store a single value per pixel. So an image, for example, in Photoshop here has, in this instance, 3 channels: a red component. Just turn off the other one. So that's the red. Single values of red, single values of green, and single values of blue that are mixed together to create these other colors. In print, you could think of channels as CMYK, like this little diagram here, right? You have a single plate of ink that is cyan, a single plate of ink that's magenta, a single plate of ink that's yellow, and then the impression of that ink would be a single black and white color. And then those mix together to create other colors. We can add channels to our image, right? So if I add this little thing over here, I've basically created a new channel that's called my mask. And in this case, I can use this to introduce transparency into our image. So now we have a red, green, blue, and an alpha, and then alpha is named layer 0 mask. Okay, so that was Photoshop, but we're working in After Effects, and if we want to see the individual channels in an RGB red, green, blue, alpha image, we can go to this little machine over here and just look at the individual channels, right? So here's our overall image. There's our red, our green, our blue, and our alpha, right? Another way to look at that alpha channel is to click this button right here. You can see that little checkerboard thing is a kind of convention for an alpha. So in this class, this red, green, blue RGB alpha, red, green, blue, alpha, is what we're going to be dealing with most of the time, but it's really a good idea to just realize that that's just the very tip of the iceberg. There's so many things that a black and white single pixel value can represent, and things you can do with it are almost endless. So for example, we looked at RGB, we looked at CMYK, but those black and white values can represent other things. Okay, so like for example, here's our little 3D cone circle cube. We could have black and white values. So if I roll over this here, you see 24, 41. Like, what the heck is going on? So what this is the pixel values here represent the distance from the camera. That's called a z-pass. And if I remap these values, you can kind of see what's happening. So the further away from the camera they go, the lighter it gets, and it creates this kind of misty, foggy kind of look, which is kind of cool in itself. There's you could play with this, just the images that you can get from this approach, and others have, but you can use this to create a mist. You can use it to create depth of field. You can use it to position objects in space, and so on and so forth. another one that could come up, this is position, right? So the red value is the position in X, right? So that's the X axis. The Y value is the position in Y, which is now the green, and the Z value is the position in blue, all right? So this is closer than that. You can even take the constituent parts of a render and separate them out into different channels. So this is the red, green, and blue of the specular of an image, the shiny part of an image. And then here's the red, green, and blue of the diffuse, right? And then we can take those two and combine them together like so. And then I can, I can change my shininess after the fact, after the render. So anyway, there are many different kinds of channels. There are many different things those pixels can represent, in addition to red, green, blue, and alpha. All right, I'll stop it there.